like you said, now you're sitting here in front of a camera. That was something you didn't do or didn't want to do. Where's your edge of getting on camera?
I did have a psychic reading, and one of the things that she had told me was she saw bats coming out of a cave. And she's like, and this is how I feel you are right now. Like you're like at that point where you've been in the dark for so long that you know that your voice needs to be heard at this point. Tamara's been the face of the company for so long, and we've worked together for over a decade. And I've been behind the scenes helping her build this multi-million-dollar company, and yet I have not even expressed myself on camera. And our focus is like building the confidence with our clients to be on camera. So why am I not doing it?
Welcome back to the Oracle on Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Leah Dunlap, and I'm here today with the fabulous Danielle Thompson, who is a co-founder of Broadcast Your Authority. I have known Danielle for probably about 5 or 6. Wow, has it been that long?
It's been that long.
Been like 6 years. And the very first day we met, I felt all of this great energy from her. I know that she's got so much charisma and drive for what she's doing in the world. But, like many women founders, it's a road, it's a journey. So I've invited her here today to tell us a little about her story. And also, as we do on the show, to give her the opportunity to have a little conversation with the Oracle before we finish. But Danielle, why don't you tell them more about, what you do as part of Broadcast Your Authority and, what you guys are up to?
Yep. So I'm the co-founder of Broadcast Your Authority, as you said. And I work a lot behind the scenes. So being on camera like this is not in my comfort zone, really. But I love helping people get their message out, like giving people a platform to speak more and engage with their networks. And I have such a passion for business owners and supporting them. And I always say that I'm like the Robin to the Batman, because I'm like the side woman. But maybe I'll be Catwoman or something. That just sounds better. But yeah, I have a passion for helping businesses grow and scale up to 7 figures, 8 figures and beyond.
Right. And in particular, right now, I know you guys were talking about before we got on to this call or this session that you've been working on a project for women. And of course, we're talking to women founders out there. So tell us a little bit more about your next kind of podcast project you're working on.
Yeah. So we started a podcast, Women Unlocking Wealth. And it's primarily because we know the statistic, like 1.9% of women do not even surpass seven figures annually. And then there's only 6% of men that surpass 7 figures annually. And there's just like so many different things that you can do to grow wealth. And it's not like a one-way, like straight linear path, but there's different strategies that you can use in your business. And like I could be talking to you and sharing strategies, but it might not be the right fit. Like your audience might not be on LinkedIn, or they might not be on Facebook or TikTok or all these other channels like Social Truth and, Blue Sky that's coming out. Like there's so many new ones like Red Note. And so I just love being able to strategize with the women that I'm speaking to and unlock hidden revenue opportunities so that they can grow their businesses and get to the next level. Because I think just like the more abundance you have, the more abundance that you can spread to other people, like in other causes that you care about.
That piece right there, I think that, you guys have had a great rise, really. I mean, when we met many moons ago, you guys, I mean, not that you were just starting out, but you've definitely catapulted yourselves. And as 2 women founders, I mean, that's pretty phenomenal. I want to highlight you. And yes, I'm so grateful that you're here on my show, because I think that gives people such an inspired vision of what's possible. But tell me, what was that? Like you had to go from one level to the next level, which a lot of founders do. So what was the moment where you guys, what did you have to do to kind of go from where you were to the next level?
Yeah. So there's just like so many different things that we had to do. So when you met me, we were baby entrepreneurs. Like we had this like little baby, give me a pacifier. And the thing with that is we were doing a lot of one-off projects. So video production, we were flying out to different states. We had a lot of expenses like airfare, hotels, like we had to cover, food. And so that added up. And then we realized, you know what, we need to focus on just a few offers, make it a retainer. Retainers are really appealing to investors when you're ready to sell your company. Year contracts, 6-month contracts, like just having that in the the agenda. And then and when you're ready to sell your company, then you have these retainers. And so like the biggest thing was getting retainers. And then you get to a point where you're like, I need to increase my rates, because you're starting at like, even like when I speak to other people, they're like, my package is like $997. It's like, that's nothing. Like, come on, we need to increase the rate, like depending on what your service is, obviously. But we increased our rates. We also started targeting a different audience. Like we were targeting more doctors, more corporations. And so that helped. And also when you're targeting corporations, you get pay in full clients too. So that's really nice. So there's just like a lot of different, and then we started just implementing different strategies. So like the first 7 figures was referrals primarily. And then surpassing 7, like beyond the 7-figure mark, is going to be paid ads for us. And it's different for everybody.
Do you think that women, as I look at like what those stages are, what they need to do, what's their biggest like, what do I do? Or is it, how do I do it? Is it my money? Like what do you think is keeping that number so low?
I think people are just not willing to do what they should be doing. Like it's, you say that like, what you need to do, but you're not actually taking the action. Like if you're not willing to take sales calls or hire a salesperson or salespeople to take the calls for you, you're just not going to surpass to the next level, because you're like stuck in this. Well, I should step back a little bit. We have a lot of business owners that are doing the fulfillment in their own companies. The business owners should not be focused straight up on the fulfillment. They should be marketing and sales. And then at that point, like even then, like they're going to get to a point where they're just overseeing the marketing and sales, and they're just looking at the numbers.
So the big shift then, as like you obviously sounds like you guys found out for yourself, was like, oh, you stepped away from, like, I remember you saying earlier, like, camera running it, being the one behind the scenes, but actually like running things and like doing the videography and stuff. Then you have to step away from that and say, I need to find and hire other people. Do you think there's a moment there for people where hiring someone and doing it yourself, what is the gap that they have to, what's the chasm you find that they're most having to cross?
So for Tamra, my business partner and partner in life, she had a background in editing and videography. She's a big perfectionist, and she did not want to give up the editing for like the longest time. And I was like, you know what, in order to build this business, we have to delegate and build a team of editors that have your same core values, that care, that pay attention to the edits, that, all the detail that she put into it. And like she hasn't edited in like over 7 years. So it's like she gave that up then. But a lot of people are not willing to give up the work within the company. Like they have to be able to train the team to have the same values and same eye for detail.
So is it, you think, a control thing?
Yep.
Like, yeah.
for a lot
let's
of
call it what it is.
businesses.
It's control, right? Like
Yeah.
it's the idea that
and it's not going to allow people to scale if they're not willing to give that up, because like you're so stuck in fulfillment, you don't have the energy or time to focus on sales or bringing in new clients in the door.
And for you, where, like you said, now you're sitting here in front of a camera, that was something you didn't do or didn't want to do. So now that you're doing the new show, are you gonna, how are you, where's your edge of getting on camera, and what are you having to lean
And that
into?
was my nudge. Okay. So I did have a psychic reading, and one of the things that she had told me was she saw bats coming out of a cave. And she's like, and this is how I feel you are right now. Like you're like at that point where you've been in the dark for so long that that your voice needs to be heard at this point. And at that time, like the reading didn't really resonate until I was in Sedona, and all these bats are like flying around. And I was like really thinking about it. I was like, you know what? She's right, because Tamara's been the face of the company for so long. Like, and we've worked together for over a decade, and I've been behind the scenes helping her build this multi-million-dollar company. And yet I have not even expressed myself on camera. And our focus is like building the confidence with our clients to be on camera. So why am I not doing it?
Yeah. So now that you're doing it, how's it going?
Well, it feels great because I'm sitting next to you, and I'm sitting next to people that carry the conversations really well for me. So I do appreciate you just being here and inviting me on the show. It's
right.
helpful.
Well, I mean, I think you're definitely not alone. I know that a lot of women entrepreneurs and founders, when they're starting out, they're both the face of the company, but sometimes that can feel overwhelming, and then being visible and being the face aren't always the same thing, right? Like they'll drop out. I was just talking to a client the other day about that. Like, if we're having expressions in our lives that are tough, or we're not feeling up to it, and we still have to be visible and we have to be out there if we are the face of the company. Do you feel like a lot of that was put on camera and now you're taking some of that lead? Are you feeling like more like you can step into that more now?
Yeah, and she's been amazing, and she's just really pushed me to step out and be confident in who I am and not feel judged. And because I feel judged, I'm like, I have a lisp, I have like my like thin hair, like I could be better at speaking. And so like I'm grateful for Tamara pushing me out there and getting my voice heard, because we have different focuses in the company.
And that's very clear. I think that that's interesting because I feel like, of course, I've talked to Tamara before. Maybe we have to do Tamara again to do that. But I think there is like a definite difference. And so if there's two people that are leading, you have a shared vision, but you're coming about it from different perspectives. So with that in mind, what is your personal vision for BYA? Like, as from your perspective, what do you hope to see happen in let's say the next 3 years?
Yeah, I think at some point I would love to see us franchising Broadcaster Authority, like in different states. We could have different studios. We could have the information that people need to build Broadcaster Authority and get more podcasts out there. And it excites me that people have a pedestal to speak on important topics in the world. So that's really important to see that grow. And from a personal standpoint, I'm excited to continue my health journey. I've lost 70 pounds. And
Amazing.
so looking
Amazing.
for 30 more, and it's going to be amazing. Need to tone up these arms.
Okay. And now the audience, if they've been following me for a minute, like one of my big things is like actually goal fulfillment. People say like, I have a goal list. I'm like, great. Well, it doesn't matter unless you're fulfilling them. So tell me, when you get to that point, not if, but when, do you have a version of that story that's going to look different? So like, that means you're going to be out in front more. You're going to be speaking more. Like, what happens when you're that person who is 30 pounds less?
I think it's like already happening. Like I'm here with you, and I'm putting myself out there more. And even if I'm like judging myself internally, it's like I feel more confident to keep taking action and getting my voice heard. So.
Yeah. So O's asking me to ask a question that's like kind of off topic, but I think it kind of ties into this idea of confidence, which is, as we grow and we become more abundant and affluent in our lives, sometimes it's hard for people to reward themselves and to celebrate that. But a little bird told me there was a specific kind of car that you have your eye on.
I have my eye on a few.
I know there's one that we were just the other day talking about. Do you remember? Like,
I love Rolls Royces, like that. That's like my car. But for my birthday, I drove a Corvette, and I was like, you know what? That's like actually not like we can get that easily. Like that's not a problem.
Oh,
so the Rolls Royce is definitely on the list. And
that's kind of like the cherry.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
and I drove one for my wedding, so it was fun.
Nice. What color?
It was like a platinum color. Yeah, it was really pretty.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, it was interesting with the Rolls Royce because like people chase after you and like at the gas station, and they're like, "Can I see inside the car?" And we're like, "What is happening? Like, is this a thing?"
But isn't that interesting too? Because that is about you being more visible. Like you're showing up more. I think that's something, because you've mentioned this about the bats, and I think it's important to remember that when we are getting intuitive insights, that it doesn't really always appear the way we think it will appear. Like sometimes people will think, oh, like I'm going to be standing in a cave and all these bats are coming out, right? But the fact that you acknowledge like, oh, I saw this, and then it is the thought that you have or what it's reminding you of or the experience you're having that kind of ties to that. So as we mentioned, like every day we have this sessions with people, and they have these calls with people that we like to give you guys the chance to have your own little conversation with Oracle and ask anything you'd like to ask. So keeping in mind everything we've talked about today, what would you like to know? What can our Oracle help you with or share?
Hi, Oracle.
I know.
I think I just want to know what's next. What does the Oracle think is next for me? Do you want me to? What do you think the Oracle is next for me?
What do I think? Well, I think a lot of things, but I mean, I think for the Oracle, the interesting thing about what you said a moment ago, this concept of you becoming more and more visible, it's a funny thing for you, because what I think you don't recognize is that you are already very visible in the world and that people are already seeing you. It's a matter of you kind of catching up to that acknowledgement of being
Oh,
seen. And your
you're
next
boosting
big
my
step,
ego
I
here.
know. Well, it's funny because that's the part. I think she's saying like these old trappings of verbiage that you have about your expression, that they're going to fall away. And once they do, that's when you guys are really going to start to have that expansion you're looking for, because you guys will really truly be that kind of dynamic duo that's out there together.
Yeah. And you know what? Intuitively, I've always felt that. Like once I got more confident and put myself out there more, that everything would just align. And it's so far, it already is. Like, I'm just really grateful to be here with you and everybody else. And this feels like such an alignment with me. So I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Well, I'm so glad I
Yeah.
got to be the one to be here, from baby entrepreneur to,
Well, even back then,
founder
like,
phenom that you're going to
exactly.
be. And I'm so grateful for you and Tamara and all you've done for me and the podcast that we've been able to do. And, so if you're out there and you're watching this and you want to know more, tell them how they can find out more about what you guys are up to.
So 1-800 Danielle. No, just kidding.
See, wait, pause. No. I love that.
We're
And
good.
I think that's it, right? Like you get to be in that energy more now. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, so everybody else, go ahead. Tell them
Yep.
what
So broadcasterauthority.com. You can also find me on Instagram, Danielle Thompson. And I'm always on Instagram. So that would be my go-to.
Instagram everywhere. All right. You heard it here. Danielle Thompson, Instagram. All right. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Leah Dunlap. This has been Oracle on Purpose podcast, where we help women founders and entrepreneurs find their path to purpose so that they can live a limitless life of purpose and prosperity. Make sure that you come back here over and over again and watch all the new founders we have to share with you. Subscribe and like us below, and we'll see you next time.